All right, y'all had an idea about a pretty fascinating concept with Georgia's coordinators coming back, and I had a show sheet, had a rundown of what I thought we were going to do, and was at dinner and got blown up by 30 text messages explaining this hypothetical coaching draft that we're going to do. So I'm going to let y'all explain it because I am not going to lie, I'm a little lost. But let's do it.
Palmer, get to it, man. Tell them what it is. This is a basically Roos sprinkled in some salt and pepper at the end of this.
Palmer creation. This is a Palmer.
This is a Palmer Thomes creation.
Palmer, you're on full screen right now.
I don't like that. No, I mean, Roe brought up the point that Georgia has 9 of 10 on-field coaching assistants coming back for the next season. That's not happening all around college football, and it's especially not happening with back-to-back national champions all that often. National champions. I mean, there haven't been that many back-to-back champions. So what we're doing is we're going to we are going to draft these guys based on drafting 9 returning assistants. So not Mike Bobo. We're not excluding him already. We are drafting the 9 returning assistants based on.
We're drafting them and they come work at DawgsHQ.
Exactly.
We're just like, hey, dude, these guys have the cachet. These guys recruiting, coaching, whatever you want.
Right. Palmer, you go first. Palmer, you show us how this thing works. Everyone at home is just on the edge of their seats right now. Who are you taking first?
Oh, I'm going first? I thought we were going to randomize it.
You go first. You go first. We'll just go around the screen.
You might give Palmer the first pick.
I don't want to go first.
Palmer, Roos, Rowe, and then me, so I can see how y'all pick.
Okay.
All right.
I think.
Palmer, what pick did you want? Let's get something going here. What pick did you want?
I'll take the third pick.
I'll trade with you. I'll take first pick. I want first pick anyway.
I want first pick.
Okay. You're getting second pick.
All right, so it's Roe, Roos, me, Wes.
I want last.
I want Glenn Schumann.
Is this a draft?
Right.
Is this a snake draft? Is it like
snake draft? Yes, snake draft. I'll get 1 and 8.
Okay. All right. Are you going to give some reasoning?
Oh yeah, listen.
I
made it clear. I said Glenn Schumann was more. I would like to keep him if I was a Georgia fan more than I would want to keep Todd Monken. Glenn Schumann's a stud. I want Glenn Schumann.
All right, Jake Rowe. Glenn Schumann is off the board, and who's third? Palmer. Palmer. All right, go for it, Roos.
I'm taking Will Muschamp. Easy choice for me, no question about it. Honestly, I would have taken Will Muschamp with my first overall pick if I'd have had the first
value.
I think. So I got a great value at number 2. I'm feeling great about that. Experience, recruiting, and a guy who, unlike Rowe, my guy, probably going to be around Georgia for a while. I don't think Glenn Schumann long for the Dogs. I think somebody going to come snap him up. I think Will Muschamp be around for a while. I think that will
classic Jake Roos moving the goalposts on me with this whole going to be around longer.
Hey, I like Will Muschamp as a higher pick than Glenn Schumann too.
You guys are nuts.
Well, good thing we didn't have to pick him. I'll go number 3, Todd Hartley. Just an absolute stud in terms of his recruiting ability. There's probably not a position coach in college football that maybe Brian Hartline at Ohio State that is dominating his position in making his position at his school the place to be. You've got Brock Bowers obviously there. You've got Oscar Delp obviously there. You're continuing to bring in guys and hey, the potential of Deuce is still out there. So I'm taking Todd Hartley and he's been an ace recruiter for Georgia and he'll be an ace recruiter for Team Toms.
All right. I'm just going to do what everyone tells me to do in the comments. I'm taking Del McGee. He can recruit the state of Georgia. He knows what it takes to work for Kirby Smart. And I think with Mike Bobo back, y'all can say all you want that he's just going to keep running what Todd Monken did, but he's going to want to revive and resuscitate the RBU legacy as he really benefited from it a lot when Todd Gurley and Nick Chubb and Sony Michel were here for a little bit. And all those great backs, Noshawn, Thomas Brown, all those dudes. So give me Del McGee. And as Mike Bobo has the RBU renaissance locked and loaded for the 2023 season and beyond.
Bold pick.
My man Connor Riley in here with a Wayne Jenkins quote. Don't put it up. It's got some profanities in it. The little Wayne Jenkins quote from the We Run This City in HBO. Awesome. Little John Bernthal.
All right, so Wes,
you're up again.
Yeah,
I'm back up. Give me Shadera Uzo Deribe as another coach that I think has his work cut out for him a little bit, but I think he's proven
good on Twitter.
What's that?
He's good on Twitter.
Yeah, so there you go. That's why I picked him. No, those guys at the edge, he is building a machine, and Georgia has a lot of work, has a lot of room to grow there, and I think he is a stock that I would love to be in on the ground floor, and I'm going to watch Shadera's Dogs just continue to climb and continue to ascend all the way to the moon. So those are my two guys, offense and defense.
So that's not who I thought you would be taking. I had two defensive minds in mind.
Unpredictable, Palmer.
And I was going to be happy with either of them, but I'm going to be especially happy buying stock on the ground floor of Fran Brown. Just again, another excellent recruiter, young mind in this sport. You hear the praise from Kirby Smart. You hear the praise coming out of Lincoln, Nebraska from drawing a blank on his name.
Matt Rule.
I mean, just look at the way he's recruiting this 2024 class already. Could sign the top 3 safeties in the country. Obviously, Will Muschamp is a big part of the recruiting on that back end as well. Kirby is a big part of it as well. But I think Fran Brown is an ace recruiter again. I'll take him. And with the way that Georgia's secondary looks for this coming season, I like my team.
I'm pretty.
You sound really confident, Palmer.
I'm dismayed, and I think that was a great pick because I was really hoping that I could.
I knew that Roos wanted Brown.
I knew you wanted to see Fran and Muschamp. Those were actually, honestly, those would have been my top 2 picks.
I'll be curious to see.
Interesting. That's solid. I like that.
I'll be curious to see who you go with here because I was indifferent on whether I got Fran and this other guy. I think you're going to take him here, and I knew you wanted Fran.
I could go a couple different directions here for sure. But the guy that I'm going to go with is I'm going to go with tested, proven, solid Georgia Bulldog, Brian McClendon.
Man, I cannot believe I'm going to get this guy for the
I know.
Rowe is about to get him.
I am blown away.
I'm going to tell you this. BMAC came in year 1, really turned the page for wide receiver, had an outstanding first year, is one of the best recruiters in the nation at the position, a position that Georgia really needs to upgrade and has needed to upgrade for some time. BMAC, a guy that I think great value here. I could have gone another direction. I think Jake Rowe will take the guy that I was thinking of, obviously. Yeah, sure. But listen, BMAC in year 1 under Kirby Smart flipped it up, man. I love what he's done. I love what he's done in the past. I think he's a great pick here.
And I'll say this too. I mean, listen, you guys are all crazy for letting this guy get to me.
See, this is unless you're taking Stacey Searles, this is the other one that I had.
Wes is the one that made this possible because Wes listened to the fans in the middle, and they just disagree with us. They love Del McGee and they love Chidera, So Wes kind of made this possible for me. I'm going to say that because I think all of us had way more time to think about this than Wes did. Trey Scott, man, it's got to be Trey Scott, and I really feel bad because I wanted to take Stacey Searles here if Trey Scott was off the board just to get him in there. I think we probably all think Stacey Searles is the guy who would get left off.
Would you? Stacey Searles was my guess as the guy who would have been left off in the draft. Would you have taken Stacey over BMAC if I'd have left?
I would have taken Stacey over anybody but Trey Scott.
Wow!
Just to mess around with the people.
Okay.
I mean, just to keep him from not being out there. But I mean, come on, I'll take Glenn Schumann and Trey Scott. You want to talk about longevity? Del McGee is the only guy that's been around longer than those two. And Trey Scott, man, he came in on the ground floor. He built that room up by himself, just like Glenn Schumann did. And no offense to Del McGee, who I think is phenomenal and has done a great job. He didn't have but one way to go as far as his room went. You weren't going to get better than Nick Chubb and Sony Michel. And he did improve that room, but with DeAndre Swift. But, I mean, it wasn't going to get any better than 2017. So, that's the one way I look at it. But, obviously Stacey Searles, offensive line coach, been around before. He's associated with Mike Bobo, so nobody likes him. And on top of it all, he's an offensive line coach, Paul. Nobody likes an offensive line coach.
Rose team might be running a Mike Bobo looking offense without any sort of offensive coaches.
There's no factual basis behind that, Palmer. You're part of the problem.
I will say that Jake Rowe, Trey Scott, another thing, and shout out, we talk about him a lot on the show, but he's a big part of the message board. Our guy Guna over on the board points out, and I agree with him. If Trey Scott offers a kid on the defensive line, you can kind of throw the ranking out the window. That guy has turned into an excellent evaluator and developed some fantastic kids on that defensive line. You got to give him a lot of credit for that, for sure.
Now, I've just had another thought come to my mind here. How would y'all when we're talking Georgia assistants, how would y'all power rank the 4 head coaches that are former assistants of Kirby? Dan Lanning, Sam Pittman, Mel Tucker, and Shane Beamer.
Let's save that for another show, Palmer. We're going to run out of things to talk about this offseason.
Yeah. Save the good stuff, man. We can do 20.
That's just a tease. All right,
what do we look on Wes's face? I think Wes ended up liking the segment pretty good, but although he probably wishes he had had some time to work on it himself.
No, I'm very confident in my picks. Who's next? Jake Roos?
No. We're done.
That's it.
We're done. Yeah, we were leaving out the 9th guy.
Yeah. I mean, it was just Searles was the only one left. Now
and there was no Mike Bobo.
No, sure. But had Mike Bobo been in this draft, I would have been interested to see where he would have fallen. Because I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't have taken him with the 2nd pick. I know Rowe would have taken him with the 1st.
No, I would have taken him with the 8th if he was there.
I would have taken him at 3
with the 8th pick. Yeah, I hope the OC gets.
I would have taken him super high.
I would have figured. I think
would have taken him at 4, Wes, because I would not have taken him at 3.
Yeah, I think Wes would have got him at 4.
I would have taken him. Yeah, no doubt. I think Georgia's offense is going to statistically be better next season in a lot of ways. Just not taking anything away from Bobo, but I keep coming back to this schedule, man. I keep coming back to how manageable this schedule is going to be. I think that this quarterback competition in the spring is going to be great for whoever ends up being the starter. Mm-hmm. It's going to be heated. It's going to be competitive. The guy that wins it will have earned it and will be very competent, very confident in running the show. And I know Bobo's got his critics, but he's the offensive coordinator. I mean, that is the top flight guy. And, picking at 4, I know both of the co-defensive coordinators would have been gone. So that's why I would have taken Bobo.
Now, here's a question for y'all. If Todd Monken was available, Wes or Rowe, you wouldn't have taken him. I know you're.
Yeah, I probably would have. I would have taken Schumann at 1. Yeah.
Would you? Would you have taken him?
No, I would not have.
See, so I would have gotten the steal of the draft.
I would have also stuck with Muschamp.
I would have gotten the steal. Palmer Thomas, big Monken guy. Watch him this fall with his Ravens gear on the podcast.
Yeah. Baltimore Monken and Baltimore Palmer.